vocal cords and my voice is not very good. So if I falter, I'm going to call on City Administrator Kelsey Clem to help me out with some of the narrative. But I'll forge ahead for now. With that, the first item on the agenda is the regular agenda as presented. And I would entertain a motion for, I guess, before we do that, we should add item 7I.
7I, yes.
Okay. Any other items that we want to add?
I'd also like to add 6R, it's a merchant license, 6R.
Any further? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval of the regular agenda as modified.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. The consent agenda is before the council, and all items with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a city council member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered separately in its normal sequence on the agenda. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of 7I, and what was the other one?
6R.
And I'll,
an addition.
6R, but I also have off the consent agenda 6O.
Okay. Any further changes to the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as modified. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The minutes of the regular city council meeting held April 14th and the city council work session held April 28th and the Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting held on April 23rd, all in 2026, are before the council. Is there anyone in the audience or any member of the council who wishes to make any changes to those minutes? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I so move approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the 3 meetings that I mentioned previously. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I see there's a number of people here this evening, and I think I know what the topic of discussion is for the most part. So before I would open it up for our public forum segment, I'm going to call on our city administrator, Kelsey Clem, to explain something to the audience. Kelsey?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, just a little recap or update. So at our April 28th work session, the City Council reviewed the draft master plan for City Park. One of the many items that needs to be removed or relocated from the area around the pavilion is the Ten Commandments monument. Our goal has been to find basically a new location so the monument could be moved once instead of being put into storage. And the plan had recommended a location near the rec center in the playground. But at that meeting, there was a suggestion made that maybe a better location would be to relocate along Larry's Pathway, kind of in the central area of the park. I shared that recommendation with the park board last week. They agreed that that too would be a good location along Larry's Pathway. So I did direct the consultant to edit the plan to basically show that as the new location for the Ten Commandments. And that's where we currently stand.
Okay. Hearing that, is there still anyone in the audience that wishes to speak this evening? Pastor Tim, let me just give everybody kind of a recap of the rules we have for this segment. We do allow public participation at our council meetings, and there's 25 different rules. You can come up here, Tim. I'm not going to read them all, but I'll give you some of the Cliff Note version. If you wish to speak, raise your hand, as Pastor Tim did. Come to the podium and state your name, address, and the subject of your comments. Please direct all comments to me as the chair of the meeting. I'm not going to allow any comments regarding city employees or city council members. Any requests for action will be referred to the city staff or assigned to the appropriate council committee for future consideration. And there will be absolutely no dialogue between the commenters and the city staff. So with that, Pastor Tim, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Brink. I appreciate your time. I'm Pastor Tim Rice from Christian Fellowship Church, and I really appreciate addressing the Ten Commandments issue. Again, there are several people here. We just had some questions along the way, and just some comments. We're hoping that it is that as the Ten Commandments are placed, again, it's in a high-traffic area, which sounds like that is what's going on, that it would be easily accessed either by sidewalk or by pavers so that people can actually get to it. We're hoping that it will be well-lit so that, again, it can be, first of all, seen, but to protect it from being vandalized. It's a beautiful monument, and we really appreciate the city placing that down here. Finally, there was just a request with some folks I'd spoken with, wondering if there's a possibility that a meditation bench could be added to the area. So as people read this plaque or this monument, that they could maybe take the time to sit down and reflect on it. And I don't know what the council or what the city's budget is for such a thing, but I just wanted to say that our church would be willing to, if the city came up with a reasonable bench, something that they think would fit the motif or the area, that we would be willing to help fund that if necessary. Because again, we think it would be a great opportunity for people to just sit and ponder that. And again, thank you for considering people's concerns regarding where it's placed. We really appreciate that it's going to be put in a prominent place. So most of us would just like to say thank you for doing this. So
Okay, thank you. So because you,
that's not for me, by the way. That's for you guys doing it. Thank you.
because you kind of made a request, Pastor, I'm going to refer this back to our Public Works Committee.
Okay.
And they can discuss the bench thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, if there's some way that we could be a part, we certainly would be willing to do that.
Okay,
Mayor?
Yeah.
Barry Schrader would have liked to have been here tonight, but he's in Washington DC. And when this originally got talked about, when we're moving this, he wanted to be on the committee to be part of this. And one of his suggestions was a place that people could sit by it. But he was also wondering if there could be lights also on it at night for, till 9, 10 o'clock or whatever. So that's a couple things. But I don't know, but those are some of the stuff that we have to work around. But at this time, if possible, I would like to make a motion that we would go ahead and move the 10 Commandments to Larry's Pathway, and we'll work with the Public Work and others as far as the parameters of whether there be lights or bench, whatever. But at least tonight, make a motion that we will move the 10 Commandments to Larry's Pathway.
Charlie, is a motion in order because it's not in the agenda?
No, it's not on the agenda. I suppose you could amend the agenda again if you wanted to do that. I mean, it is a regular meeting. It's not in the agenda that was printed or passed.
Okay,
Could I make a motion on that?
what's that?
Could I make a motion on doing that,
You can,
amending it?
yep.
Yep.
You want to amend it to add that item.
I want, you have to add that item.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion on the item. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I was opposed.
Yeah, okay.
One no vote.
Right, but now you have a motion.
No, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and move
Use the
10
mic
Commandments-
closer.
That would move the 10 Commandments to Larry's Pathway.
I'll second that.
Discussion on the motion?
Can I just clarify, the motion is to move the monument to Larry's Pathway. The bench and lighting will be brought back to Public Works for
Public
discussion.
Works, yes.
And determination of the
Yes.
best
If it-
option.
whether it could
So
work.
this motion is just the monument
Monument
along Larry's
removed,
Pathway
yes.
somewhere.
Yep, on Larry's Pathway, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
I have
Go ahead, Wendy.
a concern. I guess, how do I put this?
Will you use your
I
mic a
feel-
little
okay.
closer?
I feel like if I express an opinion, people think I'm anti-Christian or I'm not Christian, happen to be Christian. Thank you very much. This feels again like something is being placed on the agenda at the last minute without really any notice or any public notice that the matter is going to be brought. And so it concerns me that that's a practice we've beginning to engage in. So I just want it on the record that the reason I voted no to place it on the agenda is we post these in the public so the public can see them, and if they choose to come in and voice their opinion on something or share a concern, they have that opportunity. when it's not on the agenda and we make motions to add things to the agenda at the last minute, it doesn't feel transparent, and it doesn't feel like it's following the Roberts rules of how you govern. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, but Charlie, we did act properly, did we not?
We can amend the agenda, so yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience? Celeste?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think we have an open
We have a
motion
motion
on
and
the
a
Oh,
floor.
I'm sorry. Let me vote first.
Wait, excuse me. Had we finished the public forum before we started doing all of this? Because I didn't think we had.
We did not.
Should we? Because I think there's other people here who had something to say about it, is my guess.
I move we table the motion till after the public comment.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, who else wants to speak? Celeste?
Thank you, Mayor. Are we doing 3 minutes, 1 minute? What are we at today? I got a lot to say.
Really?
Yes, so 1, 3, just let me know
Okay.
what my time limit is.
Before you start, how many more people want to speak tonight? Just one? Okay, you can have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for being here despite your recovery. I appreciate your commitment to the city. A few things that I would just like to throw out into this conversation is, I'm just curious how we are thinking about our public spaces and our public tax dollars used in a way that is welcoming to everyone. And so when we think about homing like the Ten Commandments, right? And we go back to our city and we have some numbers from when we were talking about the prayer. And so I think when I looked at the census, when we're thinking about the Detroit Lakes community, it was around 50% maybe identifying as Christian. There's some really investigative journalism showing that across the United States that 92% of people in the U.S. are identifying as spiritual, religious, entertaining some sort of afterlife. And then 30% of our population identify as Christian and regular churchgoers. So when we make these decisions, I'm just curious how we're factoring in what the future is looking like here. I mean, I think I have, hopefully, if I'm lucky, maybe another 50 or so years here in Detroit Lakes. And it gets me thinking about what we're planning for. Are we planning for today? Who are we planning for? I have a degree in security studies. It's always for the security of whom, right? So that is my first minute and a half. And I just really encourage the council to not just think about the here and now. And I really have this plea for our community to stop pushing a very dogmatic way of this is who we are, this is how we are, and anything else is not accepted. I feel that often in these spaces, and it's a really tired out way of being. And so I'm looking for ways where we can affirm and really validate everyone in our community. And so I would just like us to reflect on what did our conversations look like surrounding the prayer? Is that a precedent? And then I would also entertain some ideas around if we have a park bench, how are we honoring maybe some other spiritualities or faiths that are in the community? Could we have maybe different verses from other holy books on the bench that's proposed? Really, these are public spaces. We have a lot of visitors from all over. If you just go look in the sign-in books of who's coming to see the trolls. So really, with my 20 seconds left, it will be an economic development argument, because if we are pushing forth this narrative of who we are and how we are, and this is the only type of person we accept, that becomes an economic issue, and we know that looking at other cities and areas of development. So thank you for your time today, and again, with my 5 seconds, how are we thinking about creating a more accepting community for the next 50 years? Because that is what I am asking as a younger resident. Thank you.
15 seconds left.
Okay, there was another gentleman, I think. Yes, sir.
Hi there. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Nick Pichet, and I am talking about the Ten Commandments sign. I am a professional landscape architect, and as far as I can tell, the JLG architects have not hired any sub-consultants for the landscape design of this space. And in regards to the Ten Commandments sign specifically, from the February 5th City Council workshop presentation, that's the most recent plan I've been able to find. There's a relatively smaller playground as compared to our existing playground, albeit there is an additional water play space. However, adjacent to that in the southeast corner, there's a restoration area with a small soft surface path. I personally have worked on projects where there's what we call a gratitude garden, specifically for small rooms and spaces for meditative uses, as well as working directly with hospitals to make them more of a sensory experience for people with specific deprivation issues and neurodivergent people of today. So my coming to you really is more about the specific location of the sign itself. I do think Larry's Pathway is the wrong location. It's only a 10-foot pathway. Having people gather there will really clog up the space, especially if there's a bench. And there's just other site locations that could lend itself better to that. Also piggybacking a little bit with Celeste, I agree that we need to think outside of just the Christian resident and allowing potentially this restoration area to become more of a space specifically for that type of thing may just be a good in-between for everybody. I've heard complaints in the background as I sat here. People don't want the sign over at the rec center. I personally don't see the difference there with just it being kind of the same city park location essentially. However, I do think with a better lens of what is good landscape architecture in public spaces, I think that the consideration of Larry's Pathway should be just thought about a little bit more. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So how many more people are going to speak here?
I'm Margaret Gunderson from South Shore Drive. I understand the new location is still being considered, and I appreciate that it's being reconsidered. This year is our 250th birthday of our country, and it's a good time to reflect on its foundation. Most of our country's founders were Christian, seeking to establish a country grounded in Christian principles, including the Ten Commandments. Our Pledge of Allegiance, recited before many public meetings, including this one, acknowledges we are one nation under God. John Quincy Adams called the Ten Commandments a civil, moral, and religious code essential to societal order. And Noah Webster argued that American laws are rooted in Christian principles found in the Ten Commandments. To honor their place in our country's heritage and values, the Ten Commandments are boldly displayed in the United States Supreme Court building and in other federal buildings, as well as many state capitals and other public buildings, courthouses, and some public schools. The Supreme Court has upheld such displays throughout our country, acknowledging the role of the Ten Commandments in American legal history. Since 1962, our Ten Commandments monument has held a place of honor and visibility in the city park. I hope we won't diminish its importance by relegating it to an obscure location where people need to intentionally seek it out to find it. I hope it will be reestablished in a place of honor and prominence where everyone can easily see it and be reminded of the importance of the Ten Commandments in the history and heritage of our country and of our city.
Okay. Okay, with that, we'll close up the public comment period. How do I get that motion off the table? Just take it off?
Yeah, it was until, if I recall, the motion was until the close of the public
All right.
comment.
So the motion and the second are on the table. You want to repeat your motion?
The motion is to move the Ten Commandments on Larry's pathway.
Okay, discussion?
I wonder if there is a possibility to restudy it. I'm not saying to put it where people can't see it, but if we put it along Larry's pathway, it's prominent, but is there a way to include it into more of a garden setting, more of a place for reflection with a bench that is not along a path, so people are just needing to step off the path, but rather purposefully be somewhere that they can enjoy it?
Okay, well, I think we could discuss that at our Public Works meeting.
Well, the motion on the table is on Larry's pathway. So what I'm saying is, can we just take a step back and study it? Not to put it where people can't see it. That's not what I'm saying. I believe in the Ten Commandments, just I'll go on the record. But are we just doing this just a little too quickly without a study of really?
We have a
Hold it,
motion.
Ron, hold it.
We have a motion.
Hold it, Ron, please. Are you done?
Sure, I can be done.
So Kelsey, just to clarify, we're not going to put it right on the pathway. It's going to be off the pathway, correct?
Correct. And Mayor, I'm not trying to dissuade whether we need to have a motion or not. I just want to point out, we have a lot of items that need to be relocated, and that's going to happen in the next 45 days. And the plan is to follow the plan. And what I'm saying is we've amended the plan to Larry's pathway, and that's what we plan to execute unless we hear otherwise.
Okay, further discussion on the motion?
Yes, can I ask one question administratively? So do we have to run this past the State Historical Preservation Office as to its placement? I mean, we have to run a lot of things past SHPO to get their approval as to where things are going to be placed in the park. So,
It's a good question.
mean, I think
Mayor and
it-
council, so the master plan has been submitted to SHPO for comment.
with it along Larry's pathway or no?
Not in that location, no.
So we'll have to look into that.
I
Further discussion?
I would just add that I would support Jackie's comments that maybe we're moving a little too fast and there are other things to consider. That
Okay,
would just be.
okay.
Mayor, the Ten Commandments have been part of the heritage and history of our city park since 1962, for over 64 years, when the Eagle Club had their state convention and gave this monument to the citizens of Becker County. I certainly hope that we'll go ahead and approve this. Like I said, to me, having the Ten Commandments there is just as important as redoing our pavilion. And let's go ahead and vote on this and see what
I
happens.
would just add that no one's proposing that we get rid of the Ten Commandments. I don't think anybody up here think that's necessary or a good idea. It's
Okay.
just a matter of what's the best way to do it.
We have lots on the agenda tonight. I'm going to call the question so we can continue with our agenda. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. I don't think I've completely lost control yet, but we're going to try to continue on here. And that brings us to the Community Development Committee agenda, and I'll call on Chairwoman Spry.
Thank you. Item 5A is consideration to a resolution approving a development agreement for TIF 1-1. And I would hand it over to Larry to bring us, or no, sorry, Holly.
Hope.
Hope.
Yes.
Oh, God. Strike 3, I'm out.
Strike 3. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Today we have.
Hope, can you just wait a second? Chief, can you help folks out to the lobby? Unless they want to stay. Okay, go ahead, Hope.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So today we have approval for the resolution for the development agreement for TIF 1-1, which is the redevelopment of the former Lincoln School property. Last month, you guys did confer or approve the municipal district and the TIF plan that was originally presented. The developer is requesting $956,966 in TIF assistance, which is proposed to be structured as a pay-as-you-go note. The TIF proceeds will be utilized as equity contribution to the project, helping to close that financing gap. This is an estimated duration of 15 years, showing that the cash flow does say that within 15 years of the TIF establishment, that TIF will be paid off and closed. A detailed financial review and needs analysis had been conducted to evaluate the feasibility of the project, and without public assistance, it would not be able to move forward. The project demonstrates a gap between the development cost, which is $7.5 million, and then the estimated taxable market value at $5.9 million. The gap is driven by current market conditions, including, elevated construction costs, financing costs, and achievable rental rates for market rate housing in the region. Without the assistance, the project would not meet minimum financial return, therefore would not be able to move forward on that redevelopment of the Lincoln School. We also did do the but-for test, which is a requirement for TIF. And with that, the financial analysis and needs assessment does show that the project does not generate sufficient return on investment to proceed under the current market conditions. The inclusion of TIF as a source of equity is critical for achieving financial feasibility as well in this project. I do also want to note that, within this project, we do have housing development, which addresses demand for the market rate housing in the community. It's an efficient land use and redevelopment of a former school. You really can't find a better use for such a property. It's in an already established neighborhood, and the private investment leveraged here is approximately $7.5 million as well into the community. So I would recommend that the council does approve this development agreement. The development agreement is a pretty typical development agreement overall, stating that we are going to do the pay-as-you-go up into that approximately $57,000.
Okay, any questions for Hope? Okay, Wendy.
All right. The CDC did review this yesterday at our committee meeting, and the committee recommends that we approve the development agreement, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt a resolution approving a development agreement for TIF 1-1. Discussion?
I'd just like to comment that this is a great location, and this building looks absolutely beautiful. I wish we could have it on the screen tonight, but it's a perfect spot. It's well needed, and we got it right here, and she could pass that around. But it's unbelievable what they're going to do with that property, and I'm really excited. I'm glad we're going to have that done. The sooner, the better.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item 5B is a consideration to an easement encroachment agreement with Burgeon's Greenhouses, Inc., and I will let Larry that with the council.
Mayor and council, you have before you tonight an encroachment agreement with Burgeons for their West Willow property. They have a fence that's decorative that's located on the public right-of-way. It encroaches onto the public right-of-way by about 6 feet. It's been there for many, many years. It's never been memorialized, and this encroachment agreement would memorialize that, and we would have it in writing, and it would be good for all future generations.
Okay. The CDC did review this at yesterday's meeting, and I would move that we approve the easement encroachment agreement with Burgeon's Greenhouses, Inc.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt an easement encroachment agreement with Burgeon's Greenhouses. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Item 5C is consideration to a resolution approving an amended variance, which we discussed at length at our committee meeting yesterday, and our discussion raised more questions than solutions. So our committee is recommending that we table this until, I believe, June, and I would so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table the item 5C till the June meeting. Scott, do you want to make any comments at this time?
Yes.
Go ahead. And tell everybody who you are.
Scott Walls with Meadowland Surveying,
Thank you.
1118 Highway 59 South. I am here now on behalf of American National Bank. To the relief of some and hopefully the concern to everyone, Scooters has now pulled out from this property. They no longer want to pursue building at that site. American National Bank is obviously disappointed, but they don't want to have to build a parking lot there that isn't needed, and they would like to have a saleable lot, so they would like to continue on with the amendment of the variance to remove the 34 parking spaces requirement and also the requirement for the 3 trees to stay that are currently there that was put in that easement when the city granted it 5 years ago. That easement expires on September this year. So as I said, the bank, I think everybody understands that now after 5 years that the additional parking spaces aren't needed that were required as part of that variance. The planning commission and the staff did recommend approval. It was a split vote at the planning commission. The concern is congestion, the development of this property would create congestion in that Boys and Girls Club parking lot and that specific entrance right there next to the bank. I believe the congestion problem is the frontage road itself, that there's just a lot of traffic on that road. That's a commercial area that has become very successful, and I think the increased traffic is good. At some point, the city may have to look at doing something with that road for the increased traffic. But the congestion in the parking lot is caused from people trying to get out there. Some of it is, as Councilman Carlson noted, when people are going to get out, they leave Aldi's and they just kind of pull in the middle of it. So there's not enough room for a car to go either way. City staff did reach out to the city engineer, and he reviewed the site and said that the opening is wide enough, but he believes that just placing a center stripe would alleviate that. People would know what side to be on. I'm exiting on the right and coming in on the left. And I believe that would be, and I have no reason to doubt Mr. Pratt's opinion. It was tabled with the condition that the landowners that use that lot figure it out. And if that is the route we're going to continue to go for tabling it, I would like some clarification on what exactly those landowners are supposed to come up with that's better than what your city engineer came up with.
Is there somebody that can answer that? Because I can't. Kelsey, you want to jump in, or?
Well, Mayor and Council, I think that's where the CDC recommendation was, is to get the property owners together, including the city engineer again, to revisit the issue of what is the perceived congestion area and is there a way to remedy it? There was a few ideas kicked around, but I think the idea was to postpone it for a month to vet out those ideas.
Okay, but the request is still the same, Scott, is what,
It's,
as before?
Yep, the same request. So the city engineer can be part of working with the landowners. That was my big concern. Are they supposed to hire their own engineer to come up with this? Or are they supposed to work with the city engineer? So, thank you, Kelsey.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, Wendy, we have a motion and a second to table. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And you still have more. don't
I'm sorry. Item 5D, consideration to first reading of ordinance 547, amending the subdivision ordinance of the city of Detroit Lakes relative to its jurisdiction. Larry or
Sure.
Kelsey?
Mayor and council, this is an amendment to the subdivision ordinance, and it just increases our jurisdiction into those designated areas in the joint powers agreement that we have with Lakeview Township.
Okay,
Thank you. The CDC did review this yesterday's meeting, and I would move, and we approve the first reading, and I would so move.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to give first reading to ordinance 547. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, and first reading of ordinance 547 is given. Anything else, Wendy?
Nothing further.
We'll go to the Public Works Committee, Chairman Zeman.
Okay, item 6A, update in Highway 10 East Shore Drive intersection project. I'm going to call on Kelsey Clem and talk to us about this J-turn.
Mayor and council, we just had it as a discussion item in Public Works. They had an open house on this project a while back, basically trying to figure out how to make some safety improvements at that East Shore and 290th intersection on Highway 10. The update was basically MnDOT and their consultant has, finalized their memo or their kind of pre-design of what that J-turn would look like on Highway 10. So we were just sharing that again with Public Works. and just put it on the radar, try and find the date, 2028, is that what we decided was going to be the construction year for that project? Again, it just realigns that, those intersections, connects the East Shore and 290th terminus into one, relocates the access in the Capota dealership, and then you'd have 2 J-turns then on Highway 10.
Okay,
Okay, and this was for discussion, and as Kelsey said, it's out by the Kubota area, and it won't happen until late of 28 and early 29. Next item is item B, discussion related to updates, revisions to the Minnesota Summit Avenue Plaza spaces on the City Beach improvement, and I'm going to call on John Pratt to give us an update on that.
Mayor and council, we discussed at Public Works yesterday just some modifications to what were the approved plans for kind of the plaza spaces at the Minnesota and Summit nodes as part of the beach project. After we had completed the original plans, I think we kind of landed on that there was maybe a bit too much landscaping, particularly at the Minnesota node, started looking at some different options, met with the steering committee, got their input. Ultimately tried to split that into kind of a plaza space that would have an upper level and a lower level, if you will. After we determined where the existing storm sewer line is out in the field, it didn't become practical to be able to do the approach where we would have an upper and lower level. So what we landed on was sort of the second preferred option, which was putting it all up on an upper level or street level, if you will. So we increased just the size of that within the existing footprint and raised that up. And then we also had to make some tweaks to the plaza space at Summit Avenue node for the same reasons. Again, we had to dodge that existing storm sewer line with the foundations that are going to be installed for the shade sails and things like that. So reviewed that with Public Works, and I believe the committee was supportive.
Okay, and as John said, the committee met on this, and it's minor changes, but make a motion to go ahead with the updates and revisions. The committee recommends that we go ahead and approve this, and I so move.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the updates and revisions to Minnesota and Summit Avenue Plaza spaces. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, item C, this is consideration to request for the no parking sign on Main Street, Main Avenue, Street West. And we talked about this at last month's meeting. I'm going to have Kelsey to give us a update on this.
Mayor and council, we had a request last month to remove the no parking signs on Main Street by a business owner there. The council approved that request, but there was concerns raised by council about 2 things. One was on-street parking, and second, the center line where it was located on Main Street. Subsequent to the council approval, we went and looked at the on-street parking situation. We also looked at, actually, the no parking exists all the way down Main Street. So if you were going to allow parking now on that side, we would probably have to restripe that center line at least back to the railroad track so it doesn't jog over in that one block. So we talked about that at Public Works, and I believe the recommendation from Public Works is going to be to rescind the motion from last month that would have removed those no parking signs, in effect keeping the no parking on the south side of Main Street.
Okay, and that's correct. We've decided to rescind that, and so that there won't be that parking. But also, I went down and I looked at it, and there's a small business there that used to be a motorcycle shop, and there's so many vehicles waiting there to be serviced, and it is affecting the neighborhood across the street where residential is, and I think we're going to have to look and see to do something. But the committee recommends that we rescind this for now, and I so move.
Is there a sec? Motion's been made and seconded to rescind the motion from last month for the no parking signs on Main Street West. Discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, next item D, consideration of approving a park use lease with Bad Meadows and LLC regarding the Orton Stone Garden lease, and I'll talk to Kelsey on that.
Mayor and council, this is a renewal of the one-year lease that we had in effect for Orton Stone Gardens. One thing that, just clarification, the property owner is Bad Medicine LLC, so this lease agreement is with Bad Medicine LLC. The rest of the terms are the same. Again, this would be for the large tract of land that is Orton Stone Gardens. Again, we do provide garbages out there as well.
Okay,
Okay, the committee reviewed this and to go ahead with the one-year lease for the price of $1 for the park use lease, and I so move.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to approve a park use lease with Bad Medicine LLC regarding Orton Stone Gardens. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Next item is the consideration to approving the facility use agreement for the sailing school with the DLCC, and once again, I'll call on Kelsey.
Mayor and council, again, it's been a few months since we talked about the sailing school. We've had more discussions with the DLCCC regarding that. The proposed management and use agreement that's in the packet is a little bit different than what we had looked at a few months ago. For one, we have a much shorter term. We're looking at a 2-year term instead of a 5-year term. Part of that is they're kind of stepping back a little bit from doing a full remodel of the facility. They want to basically get in with minimal renovations to kind of do a proof of concept, make sure that the sailing school is going to work in that location, make sure the numbers are strong over the next 2 years, and then, basically revisit this issue in a couple of years to see if they want to do a major renovation. So tied with that, this agreement doesn't give any type of approval to any type of remodeling. It requires them come back to the city council for any remodeling approval.
Okay, the committee reviewed this, and for this facility, it's a new agreement for just 2 years, and then they'll come back and see what they want to do. So the committee recommends we approve this, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a facility use agreement for the sailing school with the Detroit Lakes Community and Cultural Center. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, the next item is consideration of accepting quotes for HVAC service and awarding the contract to Tweetins, and I'm going to call on Kelsey to update us on that.
Mayor and council, the quotes are in your packet. The low quote was from Tweeden Refrigeration for a 2-year HVAC service contract. The only hiccup we have is that Tweetins does not have anyone that currently has a Minnesota boiler operator license. So we ask that the council approves the low quote to Tweeden Refrigeration contingent upon them getting a Minnesota boiler license.
Okay, so the committee reviewed this, and as Kelsey said, they're having a test for a couple men coming in, and upon their passing that test, we'll go ahead and approve that they would be our provider, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept quotes for the HVAC services contract. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Next item is G, a consideration to a special event application for the Detroit Lakes Chamber of Commerce for the July 4th fireworks on July 4th, 2026 on the city beach. The committee recommends, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a special event application for the Detroit Lakes Chamber of Commerce for the July 4th fireworks on the city beach. And I know the Alderwoman Bubolz is going to abstain from the vote. Discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Next item is H, consideration to approving a special event application for the Detroit Lakes Chamber of Commerce for their Crazy Days on August 11th, 2026 on Washington Avenue. Committee recommends, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a special event application for the Detroit Lakes Chamber of Commerce for Crazy Days. And again, Jackie's going to abstain. Is there a discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, before we go to John Pratt's engineering report, I'm going to go to item 6O. This is consideration to a special event application for the DAV VFW for the Gold Star Tribute Wall, which will be in our community July 3rd through 5th. And I'm going to call on Sean King to give us an update where that location is going to be.
Mayor and council, yes, I've been working with Sarah. She's the one that put in the event app. And the original location was, they were hoping at Vets Memorial Park. With some stuff in the way, we decided to move it to People's Park. And we are looking at, many of you may know where the old wooden hockey rink is. That's where they're looking at putting the wall. There are lights there from the rink from years ago that will be used to shine down on the flags, so they will be able to cut some costs there by not having to light it. We'll be able to light it for them. So, but that is the location they're looking at.
Okay, thank you, Sean. And as Sean said, this is 57 foot. It really didn't fit in to our Memorial Park, so that's why it's being located where it is. But the committee reviewed this and so moved that we go ahead and move it to the old hockey arena area and for their display, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a special event application for the DAV/VFW for the Gold Stars Tribute Wall. Discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, the next item I have is 6R. You should have one on your table there, but it's a transit merchant license for Philip Westby. It's going to be located on 911 Minnesota 34 East, and it's for sales of farm fresh produce during the summertime. And for the merchant license, I move that we go ahead and approve this license agreement.
Give me that. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, and the last item I have is item I, which is the city engineer's monthly status report. John?
Mayor and council, we've officially entered construction season, so there's a number of updates here this evening. In Southwood Shore Estates, we still have a wear course to put on that project. Should happen sometime in the next few weeks. The water tower project, since the last council meeting, the bowl has been raised and put in place, as I'm sure you're all aware. There's still a significant amount of work that needs to be done. The contractor's been working on the steel roof.
John, move your mic a little closer.
Contractor's been working on the steel roof and getting some of that fabrication done. There's still, like I said, a significant amount of work that'll happen on the inside of that, but most people won't notice some of the improvements here for the next several months. But it'll be fall before we get that put online. Heartland State Trail, just a couple of minor punch list items to finish up, and then we'll be issuing final payment on that. Westlake Drive and City Beach is underway. I would say on the beach portion of the project, which consists of the beach walk down by the sand, and then the improvements that would be south of that are probably approaching about the 50% mark, about halfway done, scheduled to be done towards the end of this month. On the roadway side of things, contractors working on phase one, which again is between Washington and Minnesota. Underground utilities are just about buttoned up on that. And the contractors are actually going to be working on getting set up later this week for curb and gutter and moving towards the concrete trail and paving and things like that over the next couple weeks. So there's going to be a lot of activity. But I would say so far they are on schedule or maybe even ahead of schedule a bit. So things are going very well. DMR Legacy Grant, just a couple of minor punch list items before we issue final payment on that. Shorewood Drive, contractor was out to finish up the turf restoration with that project. Again, just a couple of other minor items, and we'll be closing that one out. 270th Avenue, we had a pre-construction meeting with the contractor on that last week. Ryan Contracting will be starting that project on Monday, so that portion of 270th Avenue will be closed for a number of weeks. We expect the project to probably last until about the middle of July. But again, getting underway next week. Linview Estates, contractor is started talking about getting in there in the next week or so to get the concrete curb and gutter poured and continue with the street construction in there. Probably just a few weeks of work to do there once they get on site and finish that one up. Rossman Avenue, we've awarded that contract, but no word yet as to when that project will get underway. Best indications are kind of the second half of summer, so got a little time on that. And nothing to report on the North Side project. Questions?
Thank you, John.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept John's report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the city engineer's monthly project status report. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, I think. Anything else, Ron?
That's all, Your Honor.
Yep. We are up to the Finance Committee, and this evening, Alderman Durrani is going to chair that discussion.
I'll take it. How about that, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. We have item 7A. There was a discussion regarding Detroit Mountain Rec area. They have a legacy grant to request, and there's a city match component. And so I'll have City Administrator Clem give some more details on that.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, this is just carryover from our work session. We had a little more discussion about it at Finance Committee. Deferred any action until June. Still trying to look at different ways that we can try to assist DMRA on that local match.
So no action on that one. So we'll move on to item 7B as well. There was a discussion regarding a lease agreement with the old police department, which sits currently vacant, at least for a big chunk of it. Part of it's occupied by public utilities. And so there was discussion, the Hospice of the Red River Valley, or HIA, actually came in and presented and discussed. And so I'll let City Administrator Clem, pick up the pieces I didn't discuss.
No, that's pretty good, Mayor and Council. Again, we did an RFP, looking for a possible tenant for the police department. And then HIA was our loan proposal we received. Probably the one change, just FYI, and I did talk to Vernell, so this isn't a surprise. We talked about, since that's shared with public utilities, that maybe this is best housed in public utilities, the lease be with them. There's going to be some upfitting costs, new HVAC, some exterior work, some new windows that need to be done. And then we could basically just put that cost in with utilities and then have the lease directly with the utilities. So you may not see this again next month because we'll probably defer it to public utilities.
Okay, Mike.
All right, we have an action item 7C, a consideration to approving funding for Washington Ballpark, and I'm going to again throw it back to Administrator Clem.
Mayor and Council, I'll keep this short, but if you want me to explain more, I can certainly do that. In your packet is a memo, kind of talks a little bit about the three different phases of the project. Again, phase 1 has been bid and awarded and under contract. Phase 2 is the next agenda item, is a bid opening we did back in April for the field improvements is phase 2. The low bid was Haug. So again, I'll get this out in advance for the next agenda item to recommend the approval of that Schedule A to Haug for phase 2, and then also the quote for to Field Turf USA for the artificial turf. So that's the second action item. The first action item is a request for the city council to pick up some of the additional costs related to the project. Again, fundraising has gone really well. Kudos to the committee. Terry Eider and the group have done a great job fundraising for that project. They've raised close to $3 million, doing really well. So to get this to completion, what we're asking for is for the city to pick up the cost of the cameras, security cameras that we want to have in that facility. The city incurred a little over $100,000 in pre-design costs dating all the way back to 2019. We did an archaeological study. We had some surveying costs, engineering costs, architect costs. We're asking the city to absorb those costs since they've already been paid. Building permit, again, that's largely paid back to the city. And then a contingency, just so we have some cushion as we go into the project for some unexpected things. So that request comes to City Council request to approve an additional $266,027. So the tally on that, currently the only city commitment to the Washington Park project is $1 million, $600,000 from the campground fund, $400,000 from park dedication. So again, this extra $266,000 would get us to the finish line on about a $5 million project.
So, yes, so we have we'll start with 7C, consideration to approving funding for Washington Ballpark. The $266,027 would be funded through a permanent improvement funds that are available at the time. So Finance Committee discussed, we recommend approval, and I so move.
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve funding for the Washington Ballpark. Discussion on the motion?
I have just a clarification, please. So the cost for cameras, it looks like, is about $27,000. We've already incurred about $109,000. Building permit is $18,000. That's like what we're recommending or proposing. The $111,000 for contingency. If it's not needed, then we don't have to use it, correct?
Right.
I mean, it's there, we've approved it if it's necessary.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I should mention too that the cameras we're getting are matching the cameras that have in other areas of our city, so it'll match up with those two.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, item 7D, which is related, that was, there were 3 bids received for the Washington Ballpark Phase 2. Finance Committee discussed awarding the contract to Haug Inc., including the artificial turf piece as well. So we recommend approval, and I so move.
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the bids for the Washington Ballpark Phase 2 and award the contract to Haug. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, item 7E, this is kind of where the pavilion project gets a little more traction. Consideration to awarding bid package number 1 for the pavilion project, and I'll have Administrator Clem.
Let me get my notes. Yeah, so Mayor and Council, yes, this is bid package number 1, one of 3 packages that we intend to have on this project. So this guaranteed maximum price number 1 includes 3 components. There's the actual demolition of the pavilion. Second, it's some costs associated with McGough to come on site. They'll mobilize the site, put up site control, perimeter fencing, and then actually start staffing the site. The third component is a down payment on our ADLT roofing system. We basically need to put a down payment on now to hold our spot for getting the roof decking in time and keeping the project on schedule. So those are all combined into that GMP number 1 and looking for council approval.
All right, so item 7E, Finance Committee reviewed the consideration awarding bid package number 1. We recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to award bid package number 1 for the pavilion project. Discussion?
I'd just like to comment again that, Haugs has been very good to the city of Detroit Lakes, and they were the low bidder, $146,000. The next bidder is $263,000. Haug has come in with our whole project, really saving the taxpayers of Detroit Lakes a lot of money, and I just want to say thank them for doing that.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, item 7F, consideration to accepting bids for the library renovation project and awarding the contract. And City Administrator Clem?
Mayor and Council, again, it's probably been a minute since we talked about the library renovation project. This is including basically a new roof for the structure, replacing the clay tile roof with a new clay tile roof, doing repairs on the fascia and I can't say the word, soffit. And also the freeze panels on the Carnegie portion of the building need to be restored. Part of the grant application that we did, we also had to do an accessibility audit, and there was a few items identified in the interior work that needed to be improved. The big ticket item would be the elevator. Basically need a new elevator so you have adequate room to turn around in it. The bathroom that's in the lower level of the Carnegie building is too small. Again, can't fit the radius for turning around into it with a wheelchair. And then the third item is in the break room, the countertops and the cabinetry that's in there does not meet accessibility. So the bid includes improvements to all those. The recommendation is to accept alternate number 2 and 5, which would include a new roof tile throughout, including the 1989 portion and the Carnegie portion, at a total cost of just over $1.4 million. Again, I should mention, the grant we have from the state of Minnesota is for $750,000.
All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, Finance Committee discussed this at their earlier meeting. We recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the library, accept the bids for the library renovation project and award the contract. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, this is the less glamorous item 7G, consideration to approving a policy for capital assets accounting, and I'll have Heidi speak to that.
Truly nerdy accounting stuff here, Mayor and Council. This is a capital asset accounting policy that we should probably approve. Just basically memorializes what we have had in place for some time, and puts it into a written form in the form of a policy. Something our auditors have asked that we do, so we are doing that.
All right, thank you. Finance Committee discussed that at their meeting. I recommend approval and so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a policy for capital assets accounting. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7I, which was added, taken from the consent agenda, is purely being done so just because of some of the accounting needed to be adjusted slightly. Finance Committee discussed it at the meeting. Recommend approval and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt a resolution approving fund transfers as of January 1, 2026. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'm sorry I
Else?
misidentified you, Mike.
Well, I could be so lucky to be a doctor.
Right.
To be confused with a doctor, how about that?
Okay, we are to the Public Safety Committee and Chairman Dahlman.
Thanks, Your Honor. Nothing to vote on, but we had a good discussion regarding these electric bikes, regarding on the trails, how fast they are. So we're taking some recommendations from Chief Todd and going down the road and trying to figure out what we're gonna do.
Okay, anything else, Aaron?
That's it, Your Honor.
Okay, we're to the Liquor and Gambling Control Committee.
Yes.
Chairman Stearns.
All right, item 9A. We received a consideration for request for a sponsorship of the Gold Stars tribute wall. The one that was on the agenda was for $1,000, but seeing that this is going to be in Detroit Lakes over the 4th of July, from July 3rd through the 5th, and the importance of it, and Sarah Hudson, who came and spoke, gave great detail. Our committee makes recommendation that $2,000 be contributed, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the request for sponsorship in the amount of $2,000 from the Liquor Fund for the Gold Stars Tribute Wall. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Mike, is there anything from the public utilities that needs to be brought forward?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I would like to recommend the reappointment of Lynn Peterson to the Detroit Mountain Recreation Area Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to reappoint Lynn to the DMR RA Board. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would also like to make a recommendation to reappoint Christine Vidson to the DMRA Board. And I would entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to reappoint Christine. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Couple of announcements. The Coalition of Greater Minnesota City Summer Conference is July 22nd through the 24th in New Ulm, which is a fun place. Also, the balance of the joint governance meeting dates are listed, as well as the balance of the city council meeting dates for the balance of the year. Is there anything else from city staff that needs to come before the council this evening?
Mayor, I should mention, next Tuesday, the 19th, we're going to have a work session, kind of a joint meeting with the school board and youth hockey to hear about that economic impact report about the ice arena.
Okay,
4
thank you.
o'clock, probably in the community room.
Okay. Any other city staff? If not, Craig, you got anything else?
No.
Aaron?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Hey, Wendy? Ron?
I just want to thank everyone that came out tonight, because they did have concerns on the Ten Commandments, and I'm glad that they came and showed their support to have the Ten Commandments in our city park.
Jackie?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, Mike?
Nope.
Sean?
Yes, sir.
Doctor?
Nope.
The business of this council has come to a conclusion. I made it. The meeting's adjourned.
Good job.